everyone, it's Nancy and welcome to my channel. For today's video, I can't wait to share with you guys some of my favorite podcasts and podcast episodes that I recently have been loving. It's been so awesome listening to these for inspiration when I'm doing errands throughout the day or driving. They have been awesome, so I hope you guys will like them too if you are looking for something new to listen to. So the podcasts are in no particular order. I love them all. The first one I'm going to list off is the Rise podcast with Rachel Hollis. And I just recently discovered Rachel Hollis because of her book, Girl Wash Your Face, and just over social media, there's been so much talk about the amazing work she's been doing. She's been so inspiring. So I definitely have just kind of overly consumed her content and I absolutely love it. So one of my favorite episodes from the Rise podcast is her recent one on September 10th. It's with Lewis Howes. And the title of it is called Leveraging Sports and Finding Inner Peace. And one of the things I loved about this episode was that Lewis touched upon his sports background and how he used what he learned when he was younger and playing sports and to translate planning his day and his goals now in his business. And I love his take on how detailed he is when he plans his day. Kind of similar to when he was playing football, and just everything is just to a T of like what he was doing and how detailed what his goals and plans were. And I love that you can translate that and use it in your real life too. And so I found that extremely helpful. I used to play field hockey and soccer back in the day in middle school, so I definitely wanted to tap back into that sports mentality of how I can organize my goals. And so that was one huge takeaway that I loved from that episode. The second podcast I've absolutely been loving is called The Good Life with Stevie and Cezanne. And if you don't know who Cezanne is, she is a YouTuber, a blogger, and she teamed up with her husband Stevie to put together this amazing podcast. And I absolutely love their good vibes, which is funny because their podcast is called The Good Life. And it's just been so fun listening to them. One of my favorite episodes from their podcast actually features Rachel Hollis. And the episode is called Changing and Charting a New Course with Rachel Hollis. And in this episode, you really get to hear the story of how Rachel Hollis came to be and her background and just how she found her way to what she is now. And it's so interesting hearing about her story, her background, and there's so many good tips of just knowledge in that episode. I've re-listened to it so many times and you get something new every time. And there's just so much wisdom that Rachel shares, and Stevie and Cezanne ask such great questions as well. So overall, it's just a great episode to listen to. And one of the things I really loved about this episode that Rachel focused on and shared with Stevie and Cezanne is that you have control over your own life. And she really emphasizes that in this episode and also in all of the other content that she shares too. That part really stuck with me. The third podcast that I absolutely love is the Influencer Podcast by Julie Solomon. And Julie Solomon is a phenomenal PR publicist, and now she's really into the influencer space and educating people from the PR side and just a lot of knowledge that comes with being like a content creator that no one has really talked about. So her podcast was one of the first resources I found that really talked about like how to build your brand as like a social media influencer and just exploring this new world that we are all living in if you guys are also content creators. So I love how resourceful she is. She asks great questions in all of her episodes. So there are a ton of great episodes on the Influencer Podcast, but one of my favorites is a recent one that featured Jenny from Margot and Me, and I think it's the episode titled Where Style Meets Strategy, and it's a two-part episode. So a lot of questions that Julie asked Jenny in this episode talked about like content strategy, editorial calendars, how she runs her business and just gets organized. Because for me, I know that I've not been at that level or anywhere close to it, but I already feel so overwhelmed with information. So it's really cool to hear someone else who is really in the trenches, who has made such a big significant stride how they organize their business. It's always so interesting, and they definitely talk about Google Docs and like all that stuff and how she breaks it down, how intentional she is when she is sharing her content. So that part was a huge takeaway of like being organized is so important. That's something that I'm working on too. Let me know if you guys are also working on that as well. This episode is definitely one to check out. So much helpful information. So the last podcast I want to share with you guys that I absolutely have been loving is The Sunny Show by Sunny Lenarduzzi. If you guys are on YouTube and you want to search for information on how to grow your channel and just anything like that, you probably have come across Sunny, and I absolutely love her content. She has been so helpful as like a resource and just just so inspiring, and like how determined she is in building her YouTube channel and helping others do the same. And so the episode I love from her podcast, it features Jasmine Star, and Jasmine is a powerhouse in social media and just business, and she's a photographer. It's amazing. And one of the takeaways that was my favorite from their episode together was how Jasmine really emphasized putting your blinders on when you are creating content for social media or anything like that, and just staying in your own lane. And I know we hear that all the time, but I really love how she emphasized it, because when she stayed in her own lane, like she was able to accomplish so much without any distraction from like the outside world. And she said if she didn't have any of her blinders on, she probably would have stopped or like felt like second guessing herself all the time, because you would be so overwhelming, and sometimes I think we forget to do that. So it's easier said than done, but I absolutely love this episode. She goes through a lot of social media strategy as well in that episode. So if you guys are looking for inspiration in that realm, I think this episode would be awesome. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching and found it helpful. If you guys are looking for some new podcasts to listen to, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I post new videos every week, so I cannot wait to connect with you guys on there, and also on social media. I have all the links down below in the description box. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!